Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. There's going to be general messages for the sign of Aquarius in, almost said October, August 2020. Hello, Aquarius. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. All right, August 2020, not October, August 2020. How are you doing? Hopefully, wherever you are in the world, Aquarius, you are safe, happy, and healthy. Please still take care of yourselves and others as we are still very much dealing with this pandemic, and we're all in this together, my friends, okay? So take all the precautions you must do in order to keep yourself and the people that you know and love safe and happy and healthy, okay? General announcements before we get started. You will see me go live here on the channel on August 8th, friends, at 7 p.m. That is for Leo's birthday reading. I tell all the signs, or at least I try to remember to tell all the signs when I go live and why I'm doing it. If you want to cross-watch for a Leo in particular, you're more than welcome to come. If you just want to hang out and chat and, say hi to me or see how I do things, when I'm live and quote-unquote in person, feel free to join. It is, again, for Leo's birthday season, so I will be answering questions specifically given by Leos or given to me by Leos. So if you're interested at all in checking that out, feel free to come by, okay? Also, shout out, can't even talk today. Shout out to a friend, subscriber, and client of mine, Vanessa. She made me this lovely bracelet, this very colorful and amazing bracelet while she was on her vacation and sent it to me. She's a lovely, lovely lady, and I do appreciate her. The reason I announced that here, because some of you might be like, who cares, is because when you get love, guys, you should give it back out. So I believe in the free exchange of energy, because that's all we're doing here on this earth anyway. Just exchanging energy at every turn. So she gave me something, and it showed her appreciation for me, so I wanted to show my appreciation for her and all my supporters and any clients that I've ever worked with, or even people who come here and they just never interact. That's totally okay too. I appreciate everybody. Okay? So let's get on with it. Aquarius, I've shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. Gonna shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all of the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamps already in the description box if you want to jump ahead. Also down there's the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. If you have questions before you place an order, just go ahead and email me at the same address and I will answer you as soon as I can. And if you're interested in following me on Instagram, my name over there is EmpathicFire Tarot. Badal, you'll see it there on the screen again. The link for that is in the description box, so if you want to see me interpret oracle cards a few times throughout the week, do some pick-a-card stuff, feel free to follow me over there on that platform, okay? All right, Aquarius, let's do it. Let's get that outcome, shall we? Let me see the outcome for Aquarius in August 2020. Aquarius's outcome for August 2020, please show me. Interesting how it just like jumped onto my thumb like that. All right, bottom of the deck is the overall energy. Okay. All right, let's see what's going on, shall we? Oh, that's a little bit crooked. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna not fuss about it. All right, let's get into it. Please show me where Aquarius is in August 2020. Aquarius, August 2020, please show me. Okay, we got there. Whew. It already feels like it's going to be some mess. Aquarius, you start off your reading with the energy of the Empress in the reverse, secondary major arcana for Taurus and Libra. Now, I'm going to show you this in the upright, and I'm going to talk about what I was feeling in your meditation because it was quite a doozy. Aquarius's This is going to be easily a 50-50 reading because I think I might end up talking about something I don't talk about usually in a public reading. I think this is going to be like a divine masculine, divine feminine type thing because you do have the Empress, and I already know that the Emperor is down there too. And I felt both were very important to your reading. They both felt like proper starting positions, but in the end, the Empress won out. So we're going to address her first. So I'm going to say, just to keep it clear, but I undoubtedly will repeat myself, this can go either way. You can be the you I'm talking to, or the you can be the counterpart, whoever that is in your life. But to start, you will come in as the Empress energy in the reverse. So, Aquarius, I'm going to say, not all of you are here, but I'm going to address it as if you are here. You know your place. Let's go. A denial. Interesting. A denial of abundance is how they're giving me that. Denying abundance or not seeing abundance. Look at the artwork here. Okay. In terms of world riches, okay, in this modern interpretation that most of us share, does this look like somebody who is abundant? Okay, I'm not agreeing with this. I'm challenging whoever needs to hear it by looking at this person on this card, this version of the Empress. Does this person look quote unquote rich? Does this person look quote unquote abundant? Does this person look quote unquote materially stable? To some people, the quick and the short answer is no, hell no, never would be, never can be. And that is the challenge, friends, because again, this is in the reverse. And if you know what the Empress is about in terms of tarot, the Empress, no matter what the hell she looks like, is always abundant. Always. But it's in reverse. So this is, for what I'm feeling, a self-perception, or the self versus the world. If we were to measure, like again, looking at how this woman is depicted on this card, how she's illustrated, compared to other nations, to other cultures, to other whatevers, she might be poor. But where she is, she might be incredibly rich. It's all about perspective. It's all about the subjective experience, right? So I feel whoever's in this Empress energy, you or the other person, take your pick, but I'm going to address it as you to try to keep it simple. Aquarius, you are in a lack mentality. You don't see your value. You don't see what you have in front of you as being good enough, plenty enough, stable enough. Some of you are feeling poor. And, I hate to come in with like such a hammer, but that's a state of mind in a lot of ways. And we all struggle with it. I'm not sitting here like an accomplished, a manifesting scholar or anything like that, or a person who always gets abundance in their life. No, it's a work in progress for all of us. It's something that you have to constantly maintain, that you have to constantly keep in your conscious mind, that you are abundance and you create it, you attract it. But this is not somebody who's in that headspace. This is somebody who's in the I don't have shit and I'll never have shit, or I don't have things because that other person has this, that, and the other, and I only have this. I don't have that or the other. You see what I mean? There's this comparing self to other people. It's this feeling of never being attractive enough in some cases, because the Empress in traditional tarot interpretations is a beautiful feminine energy. It doesn't have to be a woman, so let's talk about that real quick. This is, like I said, for some of you, this is like divine masculine and feminine polarities. And feminine energy is not gender. It's not the same. So whoever the feminine is, if it's a man, it's a man. If it's a woman, it's a woman. If it's a non-gendered person, a non-binary person, perfect. Whoever is in this energy, they don't see how attractive they are. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, whatever. They just don't see it. Or when they compare themselves to others, they feel inadequate. That might apply. They might be sitting on $100,000 cold hard cash in the bank, which to somebody else is like pennies, but to so many people it's like 100,000. Really? You know? So it's all about perspective. So this person could be relatively well off, but when they compare themselves to other people, or they compare themselves to what society or what other people in their company or what other people in their family have, they feel like they got nothing. Okay? Ugh. This is not good, because the Empress is a powerful person, a powerful energy, a powerful manifester, a creator, for God's sakes, okay? And this person doesn't know it. Oh, I'm like offended. And no offense to you. I'm not offended with you personally, and or whoever this is personally. I don't know this person. I'm offended because it's like wasted potential. It's being ignorant to somebody's it's someone being ignorant to their own potential. It's someone being ignorant to their own God-given power, their innate power and presence. What? You know? This is somebody who, if for whatever reason, they look in the mirror, they see something that's totally unattractive. Why? Who told you that? Who lied to you? No, I don't look good, and these clothes don't fit, and my hair this and my hair that. Shut up. No offense, but shut up. This is negative self-talk, negative self-belief, could have been influenced or encouraged, conditioned by other people around you throughout your life, or certain environments, or, just certain ways you view your position in the world versus the position of others. I get this heavy comparison thing. And again, it's because she's in reverse. That's low vibe. That's that lack. It's what the Empress is supposed to be, but sort of in the upside down, so to speak, right? So the Empress, when she's in her upright, doesn't give two shits about what anybody else is doing, is really only cared about what's going on in her garden, what's going on in my life, what's happening in my backyard, and not in the sense of being exclusionary to others, more of like, I'm creating bounty within my own walls. Whatever is golden in here is exactly the way it's supposed to, or whatever's in here is golden. It's exactly what I need. It is exactly what I cultivated for myself. And if that's $500 in the bank versus $50,000 in the bank, if I'm making $500 work and I'm living my life and I'm secure and I'm happy and I'm sharing abundance with friends and family, but I've only got 2 zeros on the end of my digit, what does it matter? You see what I mean? So there's someone here who doesn't see it that way. The 500 is always going to be worse than the 50. Objectively, sure. But what does, again, we come back to that imagery. Assuming, this is a big assumption. But $500 to somebody who lives here is actually equated, or equivocal, thank you, equivocal, not equated, equivocal to $50,000 in another country, in another culture. Do you understand? The value of the 500 to this person, again, making a huge assumption and generality here, but to someone who lives in a culture or country that has this as the standard of living, it's not a knock, but you give this person $500, you just gave them, what, a year's worth of salary, perhaps, or more? I'm not an economist or anything like that, so please don't take offense, but I hope you get what I'm saying. It's relative to the person and what they believe or understand of themselves, understand of their circumstances. Somebody has a misunderstanding, a misalignment, when it comes to knowing themselves and knowing their capabilities and knowing their power, their innate God-given cosmic power as a creator, as a manifester. Well, that's kind of heavy coming in. So what happens next for Aquarius? Please show me. They're like right to them. Go right to them. So again, for some of you, this is some divine masculine and feminine thing. I don't harp on that in general readings because I just think it's dicey. If I knew you personally, if this was a personal, I'd be all on it. But I'm reserving. If you want to apply those labels, go ahead. But in terms of tarot, Empress and Emperor, they're natural matches, the same way all the kings and queens of their respective suits are matches. These are the matches, or excuse me, this is one of the matches in the higher arcana, the major arcana, right? So Emperor, major arcana energy associated with Aries, is the match of the Empress. But notice, he's in the upright. And I'm saying he only because of the names and the figures. This could be a female. Again, energy does not have gender. It doesn't have genitalia. It's just markers. It's just it's just different values, or how can I say? It's just different points on a certain spectrum, or in some cases a wheel. But whatever. So the Emperor is basically everything I said about the Empress. In charge, stable, secure, creates bounty, creates abundance. This is more abundance outside in the 3D world, in the public sphere, right? Career. In some cases, family dynamics, but like it's more of like being like the head of the family, the person that secures the home, secures the finances, secures the just all of those physical needs. Doesn't necessarily always have a handle on the emotional or the nurturing needs. That's usually more in the wheelhouse of the Empress, okay? And again, it's not about gender. This could totally be a lady, all right? I feel whoever the Emperor is, they're not, if I were to talk to these two in relation to the other, this Emperor is kind of like not paying attention to the Empress. Even though they're partners, this could be you in a loving relationship. This could be you in a business partnership. This could be you in a family or friendship connection, whatever. The status or the type of relationship is regardless. What is notable is that the Emperor is kind of not paying attention to whatever the Empress is going through. I think that the Emperor is, if aware, and I think in many cases the Emperor would be aware of whatever the Empress is going through or what this mood is that they're in, because this is not, whatever this is, the Emperor's like, nah, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that at all. Because it's like a denial. How can I say this? If these two people, if you Aquarius and whoever you're dealing with know each other in whatever form or fashion, one of you is like looking at the other and kind of is disappointed. Like, you should be doing more than what you're doing now, or you shouldn't be feeling that way, or why are you feeling that way? I don't understand. Like the Emperor is possibly having a hard time understanding where the Empress is coming from, what the Empress is going through, not seeing the struggle or not seeing why the Empress is so full of lack and self-doubt. The Emperor is definitely not doubting anything, is definitely feeling they're feeling their own oats, man. They're feeling themselves. They're absolutely in charge and knows exactly who they are in relation to whatever they're dealing with. I know who I am in relation to, the people I'm dealing with at my job. I know who I am and what I'm doing in relation to the people in my life personally. I am this, I am that in relation to these people, and these are the roles that I'm fulfilling, and here are the ways I'm going to fulfill them. And this Emperor, I feel, has a lot of boundaries that are being set up, has a lot of goals and expectations that they're setting up for themselves, and again, in relationship to other people. And in terms of these two relating to one another, again, if you know this person, work with them, live with them, partner with them in some type of way, it's kind of like the Emperor's like, okay, well, you go do your thing, and when you're done doing whatever that is, like it's a little lacking of sympathy. It's a little lacking of empathy, because, if this is traditional divine feminine and traditional divine masculine, if you want to throw it a step further, if this was traditionally the chaser and this was the runner, it's kind of like the runner or the divine masculine is kind of when he was down, quote, he, when that energy was down, that divine masculine, that emperor energy, when it was not wherever it was, I feel like these tables have turned in a strange way. And it's almost as if when this energy was going through some stuff, the Empress was there and, fulfilling and supportive. I feel as though the Emperor is kind of like cold shouldering, kind of like I know you're going through something, but you gotta get yourself together. Instead of like being there, hand holding, listening, showing some type of support. It's more like when you're done crying over there, just, you know where to find me. It's a little like that. Now, again, that's just energy. It's energy. It's not about gender. So, I'm going to make a point here. Traditionally, quote unquote, traditionally, or at least the pattern that I see in the spiritual community is that most often females will identify as the divine feminine. I believe in some of these cases, the switcheroo has happened, but it's there has been a switcheroo, meaning where some people may have been divine feminine for several months or years. They are now transitioning into the divine masculine because what have we, for those of us who are aware, what's been going on? Divine feminines for a long time have been, kind of in the boo-boo tank, kind of down the crapper in terms of how they feel, in terms of their outlook on life and feeling, dealing with toxic situations and detaching and doing all this self-healing and all that stuff, right? That's, if you watch any bit of tarot, like if you watch 5 minutes of tarot readings, in most cases, that's what you're going to see, is people talking about that. And I generally agree that that's true. I feel there has been a shift where, if this applies to you, and if this doesn't make sense to you, just ignore this part. This is specifically for those who are resonating with this divine masculine and feminine polarity or pairing. The divine feminine has now become the divine masculine. The same person who was the feminine has now become the masculine and has kind of been like, you know what? I've done my work. I've elevated myself. What are you doing? So the one who was the runner is now in this sulky energy, is now in this lack mentality. Possibly always was. But they're now in their feminine space, whereas before they were in their masculine space, okay? I hope that makes sense. So if that applies to you, if that makes sense to you, you kind of get it. I don't think I need to tell you much more. But that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing, in some cases, a switcheroo, where two partners, one before who was kind of down and out, not really feeling themselves, not really understanding their power or their purpose or how affected they were, and they worked on themselves, and now they've become so motivated and so elevated or even ascended in some cases. Some people have gone through awakenings and have gotten to this place of, I am now so fucking in control, I'm so powerful, I'm so this, I'm so that, and it's not ego that they're saying this from. It's just like a pride thing. Well, I guess they're almost one and the same, but to me there's a slight difference between ego and pride. They're proud of what they've done. They're not looking at the things that have made them suffer in the past and going, oh, that was the worst thing that happened to me. It's like, no, that was the best thing that happened to me. I fell flat on my fucking face. And now look at me now. I'm standing straight up. I got money in the bank. I look good. I feel good. Whatever. So there's triumph here. And in the midst of that triumph, there is kind of like this, oh, you're not triumphing yet? You haven't done your work yet? You haven't self-healed yet? Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. And when you're ready, you call me. It's kind of like that. Does that apply to you? You let me know. Okay. So what else happens with Aquarius? Because I feel like there's not much else with the Emperor. Okay. And they're like, look at it. Okay, so what I just said. When you're done, call me, or when you get here, call me. This is a statue of dear old Abe, or Honest Abe. Yeah, that's what they call him. Honest Abe Lincoln, right? Mimicking that statue of his that's down in D.C. Statues don't go anywhere. Well, I guess recently they did in the States, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, statues aren't known for getting up and going to grab a cup of coffee and then coming back and sitting where they were or posing where they were. You know what I mean? So there's something about that I'll be here that rings true. If these are divine partners, that's kind of the name of the game, that there will always be access points to one another unless you do like cord cutting ceremonies, unless you go through a whole rigmarole to really end the connection, or your karmic contract for some people is expired and it is fulfilled. Those are like the two main ways that I understand that you can get away from divine partnership, or the other way, which we all go that way anyway in the long run, right? So so barring those 2 or 3-ish options, this person, whoever it is, male or female, but whoever's in this divine masculine energy is just like, I'm going to be here. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm also not going to remain stuck. And I have to mention this to you, Aquarius, because for a little bit of a comedic phrasing, you're not special in that this has been thematic for most signs I've read for this month. There's this determination, there's this self-possession, self-actualization, and affirmation that's going on for many in the collective, not just Aquariuses or any other sign, not just masculines, whoever. So if you're in that vibe, that's who you are. And you're dealing with another energy, another person who's lacking. Period. Paragraph, as my mother would say. So what else happens? Yes. This is like on its face, like easy peasy. So further detail. Okay. All right. So you've got the determination, hardcore, with the masculine energy, or the Emperor. I should, because it's not all of you are dealing with DM, DF, DP. It's not possible. Not all of you are twin flame. It's not possible. Not all of you are dealing with soulmates. It's a little less possible, or at least I don't want people to like always think they're dealing with soulmates or like the one. It's like, you're dealing with a one, one of the ones. But anyway, there's a determination with the Emperor, okay? The person who sits in that energy. The Chariot. Major Arcana for Cancer, could be dealing with the Cancer, but you don't have to be. There is, I mean, what is pictured here? A tank. I don't know many things that can get in a tank's way. I mean, Tenement Square comes to mind, but, that was just, if those cameras weren't there, maybe things would have been different, huh? Okay. I don't know where I'm getting like all this like snarky commentary from. My brain, that's where it comes from. Anyway, so there's like this progression forward, period. It is happening. There's nothing that's stopping this Emperor from going where they want to go. So if the Emperor wants to move forward with a business deal, they're going to do that. If they want to move forward in terms of their personal development, they're going to do that. If they want to set other goals for themselves, if they want to, start in on a road trip in the middle of a pandemic, they're going to do that. There's like really this, thank you. It's not even because I want to, or because, I'm fulfilling some type of desire or some type of ego-driven desire. No, it's really like rewarding. This is rewarding the self by doing more, accomplishing more, getting involved in certain things. I'm feeling in some cases, someone might be really throwing themselves into charity work or some type of volunteerism at this time. And I mean, I don't know about you, but this is like one of the most woke moments in modern human history, not just here in America, across the globe, and not just because of certain issues of the day. So many issues, so many issues are being highlighted. So many places where people need help, where there is disenfranchisement, where there are people suffering, are being highlighted. Okay, so it's not just because of recent events here in the States or anywhere else. It's all like a domino effect, or maybe not a domino effect, like a rippling effect. You drop a stone in the water, it ripples out until it touches the far shore, or it touches further out into the middle of the lake or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel is like somebody is determined to be a part of something. And traditionally when we talk about the Chariot, or we see the Chariot, it involves some element of destiny or chasing your star, chasing your personal North Star. Since we've talked about sort of these cosmic overlays with the DM and the DF and all that kind of stuff. Some of you might benefit if you look into your North Node, because for me, that is your personal North Star, is your North Node in your birth chart. Go ahead and look it up, read about it. I'm not an expert. I'm learning about my own. And let me tell you, it's a doozy. It's not when when I compare my North Node to other people's, I'm like jealous because this one is tough. Anyway, so I feel there's like this heavy alignment coming from the Emperor energy that seeks to be a part of something with purpose, to seek things that have purpose, to seek relationships that have purpose and connection and authenticity, not about the bullshit. Also, again, with the image of the tank. You don't roll a tank out wherever it's rolling out to, just for funds. Just for funsies. We're just going to deploy the tanks. No, when you deploy a tank, you mean business, right? So this Emperor is about the business. If the business is about making friendships, hardcore, somebody's out there trying to make friendships like a mother. I'm trying to be best friends with you. Are you in or are you out? And I don't think people are like, pitting people, like choking them by the collar. Are we friends or are we not friends? It's not like that. But there is this intensity of, I want to be involved with things and people and environments that have purpose, that have value, that have some type of realness to it. There's no faking it. That's very big. And I mean, for an Aquarius reading, that makes a lot of sense. Aquarius, fixed air, please. Faking it, like if you fake it, you're doing it like in tongue in cheek. Like, I'm going to fake it to this person's face and I'm going to make fun of them later because they didn't know I was faking it. There's anyway, so I don't get the sense that you have, or whoever has been in this energy, has been inauthentic, right? If they have in the past, there's like a total 180 away from that. No longer faking it. No longer, you see how like part of the sky is cloudy and it's dark and then the other part is light? It's like that. It's not a marriage. It's like a compromise between those things, right? And I think a lot of times Aquariuses or whoever's in this energy, because it's kind of shifting a little bit, if I'm honest, because I was like, oh, Aquarius feels like it's here. But I did tell you it could be 50-50. So for those Aquariuses that are over in the Empress energy, we'll get to in a second. For the Aquariuses that were in this Emperor energy, you guys are trying your best to utilize the dark and the light that you've experienced, that you exhibit in your own behavior, and you're trying to compromise with that. There is no escaping all of the darkness. That's impossible in this existence, in my opinion. If you think about it in all the ways, is there ever a point here on Earth in our experience that we ever escape the darkness? The answer is no. Therefore, you have to always learn how to work with it. You have to learn how to cope with it, to use it sometimes for your advantage, whatever, or to just label it, clearly identify it, right? So, the other thing with the Chariot is it's not necessarily a card of healing, but it is a card of progression. Once we have discovered certain pitfalls, certain shortcomings, certain difficulties that we have in our lives, and we make progress away from those, or we have progress in that we have combated it, we've confronted it, we've even been able to label it. Oh, I'm emotionally unavailable. Check. And then you're able to move on to the next thing and wrestle and grapple with that. And then you move on to the next thing. Oh, I have problems spending money. Check. It's like the Emperor energy is about the business. Empress energy, again, where I started, it was Aquarius. I feel a lot of Aquariuses are in that Emperor energy. So I'm going to go back and amend myself. Or at least affirm that the 50-50 is coming out a little stronger than it was in the beginning. So for the other group of Aquariuses, where you're the Empress in the reverse, beneath that position, you've got the Daughter of Earth. Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Could be dealing with an Earth sign, but you don't have to be. Page of Pentacles. So this is, sitting at the drawing board, fiddling with your pen or your pencil, writing something down, scratching it out, balling up the paper, throwing it in the wastebasket, sketch something else out or write something else down. That's not good enough. Trash that, trash that, trash that. It's like really trying to find the way forward. I'm feeling a little bit of anxiousness here, but I think that's mostly because the Empress is in the reverse. Normally, the Daughter of Earth isn't about anxiousness or anxiety, but because of the combination, it's definitely here for some. More to the point, I'm also getting like analysis and studying and like trying to really figure something out. So maybe that's like, I'm seeing like so many things. I'm seeing like somebody studying, like I'm seeing like those classic like movie montage scenes where you see like students studying for courses or for tests. I'm seeing somebody, racing with papers through through an office building. There's like something about being like under the crunch of time, under the crunch of needing to show results, of being tested, of feeling tested, and just like wanting to show up and do well, wanting to show up and pass the test, wanting to show up and actually be credited in some type of way. So maybe that's the anxiety here. And again, that could filter back to what I said about the Empress in the beginning, where this person, this energy over here, doesn't feel up to snuff, doesn't feel adequate as compared to others or just within themselves. So let me see, because testing is like for marginal. It's not for everybody. Or feeling tested is not for everybody. More, please. Could be unofficial testing, they want me to say. Like, I don't think most of you are like running to a proctored exam or, some of you might be, studying for entrance exams and stuff like that. But more to the point, the unofficial testing is like, remember I said the Emperor, for all intents and purposes, isn't really going anywhere. Like, I feel that energy is like clearly saying that, or would easily say that given the opportunity. Like, yeah, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm not gonna stick behind, but I'm also not going anywhere fast. Like, there's still like this foot in the door thing going on over here. So the unofficial testing could be showing up to where the Emperor is, or to the expectations of the Emperor, or what someone feels is a test that the Emperor is sort of doling out, something like that. So beyond testing, please, because that's kind of not for everybody. So yeah, learning how to create, learning how to cultivate. Thank you. There it is. Okay. So remember I said there could have been like a switcheroo here where previous to this reading, and I don't normally talk about this in public readings. I think this is like the third or fourth time I've done it in hundreds of videos that I've done so far here on YouTube. Not traditionally, in the most recent past, the feminine energy was doing all this work and being like a sad sack and all this other kind of stuff, right? And it is now the masculine, who was masculine before, now in this feminine spot, and they don't know. Or rather, what was my point? So the switcheroo happens. So the feminine, if you remember, is kind of exhibiting the masculine qualities right now. Being that is the case, the feminine, in most cases where you guys, this resonates for those who it resonates with, you were quote unquote on the path before the masculine, whoever your masculine is, okay? No gender, no age, I don't care who they are in your life. You were on the path before. You were aware before this person, right? So being that this person is now newly aware, or still unaware, because again, I said, some don't even know they're a powerful creator. They don't know that they are a divine being. They don't know their connection to their spirituality or to, God or spirit or Allah or whatever you believe in or don't believe in, or whatever they believe in or don't believe in, right? Because they don't know, they show up like a daughter, a page of pentacles, a daughter of earth. They are just learning. They are just beginning to study. They are just beginning to figure it out. So it's kind of like, another way we could think about it, this could be someone who's graduated, and this is somebody who was held back a grade. And I'm not knocking intelligence. That's not about your book smarts. That it's not even about being smart, period. It's just to show maturation, right? So here, this Emperor energy, whoever's exhibiting these more masculine qualities at this moment, has gone through the school of spiritual hard knocks, got the cap and gown, tossed that shit in the air, and is moving on to postdoctorate, or moving on to secondary, or whatever the hell the next lesson is going to be, right? Or maybe they're going to take a year off and just relax. Who knows? This person just signed up for their first line of courses. Just got their roster, and they're just figuring out the lay of the campus. You understand? So because of that, we're seeing someone develop slowly, or take baby steps into whatever the hell they're going towards, whatever the lesson is, whatever growth they are going to want to do, need to do, and volunteer to do. Because again, the underpinning of all things tarot is that this is just a message. It doesn't apply to everybody, and it certainly doesn't apply if you or them don't enact their free will. Everybody has a choice. You can choose to be a part of this story, or you can choose not. You can choose to be a part of the story, but you can change some of the words, or you can change some of the ways the plot develops. It's always developing, and it's always being augmented, okay? So what else happens? Anything else with this person? I don't think there's much else. Let me see. Sensitive, yes, that kind of goes without saying. Because Page in general, or daughters in general, the youngest of the court cards, tend to be fresh and naive. Naive as in, like, you know, a novice. Not naive as in, like, oh, I don't know anything. It's like, no, they're just, like, new to things. And when you're new to something, there's a sense of vulnerability, or there's a sense of sort of innocence, or you know, being green and fresh, right? So, again, I don't think this person has really found their footing as of yet. They might be a quick learner, who knows? They might be a quick study. Others will trail behind simply because, you know, this is the daughter of Earth. Pentacles, Earth is the slowest developing, the slowest moving, slowest moving of all the elements. So it may be a while before this person aligns with who they are. It may be a while before this person realizes, I'm an empress, or I have the capability to be an empress. You know, to say you're an empress is one thing, to believe it is another, right? So whoever is here, they already know. They know their worth, they know their value in terms of both how they show up in the real world and how they show up in the cosmic 5D world and beyond. Someone has like a real tight spiritual attunement, and someone else is like just getting that memo, like, oh, I'm a spiritual being. Is it me? Yeah, it's you. And somebody else is just like, yeah, I told you that a long time ago. Or if you talk, if there was, because in some cases there is, yes, that's where that's coming from. Thank you, guys. I was just like, what? Not talking? Yeah, not talking. In some cases, not talking. The moon. Lack of communication. Absolutely. The moon. Major arcana for Pisces. Could be dealing with a Pisces. Don't have to be. Not talking. If talking, the communication just isn't clear. The communication doesn't cut to the core. The communication dances around the subject. The communication doesn't ever get down to the nitty-gritty. It talks about things in a very loosey-goosey, up in the air, fantasy, or, you know, pleasantries type of thing. If this is a conversation with an old friend, if this is a conversation with your roommate, or whoever is in this polarity with you, Aquarius, it's like, how was your day? Oh, my day was good. What'd you eat for breakfast? Oh, I had this. Oh, what are your plans for the night? I'm just going to watch a bunch of shit on Netflix and go to bed, blah, 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 blah. And like, that's the context of the conversation, when really there's so much more that could be said. So I feel both energies participating in this. So don't get too full of yourself, Emperor, whoever you are, you're also in this energy. Because there is sort of like this for both, there's sort of like this willing to ignore. I'm willing to ignore for the sake of the moment. I'm willing to ignore the elephant in the room that's shitting all over the carpet and, knocking its trunk all about, knocking all our knickknacks on the ground. I'm willing to ignore that so that we can be in the same room with one another. Does that make sense? So instead of acknowledging this very large animal that's ruining our home and driving down our property value, I'm just going to say it's cool, or I'm just going to go along with it because we're both in the same house, or we're both in the same conversation. We're both in the same, in the same group chat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to address, or I'm not going to talk about what's really the core issue for the sake of keeping the bond or keeping the lines of communication open. Because I get the sense that if things were to be talked about, it would get really real, really quick. And that probably comes a lot from the Emperor and the Empress too. Let me tell you, the Empress, as much as they also share in this non-communicative energy, I don't get the sense that the Empress would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, or nothing's wrong with me, or everything's fine. I think that the Empress would easily say, I kind of don't know what I'm doing here. I think this is going on, but I can't be sure. Like, okay, that's where that's coming from. Also in the Moon card, confusion. Not being able to see clearly. What happens when the moon is out? You can't see shit. Go outside, barring any street lights or any modern technology that, creates illumination. If you go out into the middle of the woods under the moon, you ain't gonna see too much. Right? So, this person over here, Empress, would, I think, definitely be able to identify that they don't know what's going on, or they feel confused about what's going on, or they're having a hard time making sense of where they are, what their position is, what they feel, what they think, what they want, blah 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 blah, right? And then the Emperor, in that same vein, I think would feel maybe like, well, your confusion confuses me. Because I feel the Emperor is a little more aware, if not a little, a lot more aware. Thank you. A lot more aware and a lot more ready to go. And it's kind of like, I don't know if that's what I should do. I don't know if that's the way I should approach the situation. Because if my theory on there being a switcheroo for some of you in effect here, if the switcheroo, especially for those where the switcheroo is in effect, your natural inclination is to be a caretaker. Because I told you before, you were the feminine energy, but now you're in your masculine vibe. Or rather, your masculine has kind of overtaken your feminine for the moment, right? And maybe for a while, who knows? Maybe you'll spend like 15 years being in your masculine energy. Who knows? But that is kind of the confusing part, where it's just like, I'm not used to being this person who might be a little more aloof, or this person who's a little more self-assured, or not self-assured, no. What's the word? Self-focused. Thank you. Focusing on myself, prioritizing myself. And it might feel strange. Maybe this is the first time, because I feel for some who are in this Emperor energy and you've not been there before, it's like, I'm telling people, no, I'm making definitive actions. People are taking me seriously, or people are, because you've raised your energetic vibration, some people are just falling by the wayside. I don't even have to delete them. They delete themselves from my life. Stuff like that. It's strange and new. So this whole dynamic for many of you is very new, and it's very mysterious, and you can't make heads or tails of it. You might wake up one day, look at yourself in the mirror. Am I feminine today? Am I my feminine energy today? And then as the day goes on, you're like, no, I'm in my masculine shit, and I'm chopping people's heads off, and I'm making all these kinds of big moves. And then tomorrow, maybe you'll be sitting in your sweatpants all day and you're crying and you're in your feminine. And that makes sense, okay? I don't talk about this unless it's in a personal, but I will indulge you here because, your girl talks a lot. Anyway, in my work and in my belief, and I think most people would agree, it's not I only think this, many people think this. We have both, right? Masculine and feminine in us all the time. And not that they're vying to be one is more dominant over the other, and that's the way it always is, and that's the way it always will be. No. It's always calibrating. It's always readjusting, right? So there are some days where your feminine side is out more, and maybe that's like 70% to 30, right? 70 for feminine, 30 for masculine. The next day, maybe feminine drops down to 65, 35 up on the masculine side. Then the day after that, maybe it's 90% masculine and 10% feminine. Who knows? Like those variants or that variation of the percentages or of the degrees to which your feminine or masculine side is showing. That is the natural way of things, right? So that's why I don't exclusively do divine masculine and feminine readings, because if I did it, okay, if I did it on a regular basis, in a regular series, someone would be convinced that day in, day out, they are the feminine. That's not true. There will be times within a month that you were in your masculine energy. So my reading or anyone else's reading of those polarities isn't going to always speak true of every moment of every day of your life. You can't be DM, DF 24/7. You can't. It will switch. It will be even some days. And some days you might be some other thing. You might be like, I'm just me. I'm not even thinking about myself in those terms. Does that, okay? So a little bit of behind the scenes of why I don't do those types of readings. Now, final card in your main spread, Aquarius. Conflict. I read the word. I didn't even say what the card was. I'm sorry. 5 of Wands, conflict. Or 5 of Fire, Jesus Christ. 5 of Fire, aka 5 of Wands, conflict. So, somewhere in this mix, there is this vying for position. Now, not in what I was just talking about in your internal masculine and feminine energies, not in that way. There's a vying for position or a vying for importance or a fight over importance in somebody's sphere, in possibly with yourself. Like I said, some of you might have this struggle to prioritize yourself, or you might feel guilty, or you might feel out of place putting yourself at the top of the list, for a consecutive amount of time or consecutive days or something like that. You might feel really awkward doing that. But that to me is feasible, and you shouldn't really beat yourself up about that, because everybody has to do that occasionally, right? In other cases, this is a conflict because, or this card is coming up because there's a conflict amongst multiple people. There's something about more than one person being of importance, of being considered, of being the focal point of something, and that creates conflict. That's a whole, grab bag of options for everybody out there. I'm not really getting like clear stories. Like I'm seeing self-development. I'm seeing multiple, like I'm seeing family fights. I'm seeing fights amongst friends or just like difficulty amongst groups of people. Seeing issues over children, because we do have a daughter, which is again a page, and pages can be equated to children. So there could be complication with children, and prioritizing them, or making sure that they stay, maintain importance in a situation, which is kind of without saying. I don't know why that would be an issue. Oh, okay. Okay. So there, for that storyline, there could be some criticism somewhere in the mix towards the parent of the child or the caretaker of the child, where you're not taking care of those kids, or you're not taking care of that kid, or you're not taking care of this, that, and the other. And somebody's kind of like, wow, where do you get off? Or like, that's not true. Or there's like this defending of the actions that someone says are detrimental to a child. there's like a fight over that, or a disagreement. Maybe not a fight, a disagreement. A difference of opinions. That's not my life. Not that I'm aware, at least. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on here. This could also be hidden information, thank you, as it's underneath the moon. If you haven't seen, this and this are related, this and this are related, and thus the moon and the conflict, or the 5 of fire, are also related. So there's something unknown, unspoken, unacknowledged, ignored, or kept hidden, kept secret, involving a conflict. It could go with either person in this situation, or it could go so many ways. I'm not going to go into it too much more, but I feel as though if there is conflict, if there is some disagreement or some type of friction, one side or both don't acknowledge it. They kind of want it to stay in the shadows. Why would anybody want that? Because I'm not somebody who's like that. I'm just like, speak your truth. Speak whatever is bothering you. Say it. Or speak, I have a hard time holding a lot of things in terms of my personal relationships. In business, I'm just like, that's not your business, so I'm not going to say anything. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships, I would struggle with this. Why would someone do this? Like a safeguarding. Okay. Remember I said up here, lack with the Empress, like somebody doesn't feel worthy, or that they have enough, they feel inadequate, or they feel, could be that. Like someone doesn't feel they have enough, and so maybe they keep that a secret, and that creates a conflict. Like maybe this is just an example. Wow, this is like the first example I'm giving, like a clear storyline, I think. I've been talking for 50 minutes? I can't remember what I said. Anyway, let's say these are two people who are dating, right? And one person is like, you should come to my house. Come hang out. And you go to that person's house, and it's a beautiful house, or something like that. Or it's, whatever. And then sort of in that dating phase, for many people, not everybody, there's like I'll come to your place a few times, maybe, and then eventually we'll go to your place and hang out, right? That's like 50-50, that's sharesies, that's even Stevens, right? I feel as though in some situations, and I've seen that happen in people's lives, where there's someone who will not be invited to the other person's house because that person is ashamed of where they live. They don't feel it's good enough. They don't feel it's fancy enough. They don't feel it's pretty enough. They don't feel it's clean enough. They're embarrassed by what they have. And because of that embarrassment, that creates conflict. Because of this lack mentality. You wouldn't be impressed with me because I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. While this other person who, it's just like, maybe the other person in the situation like has like a 4-bedroom home. And it's kind of like this, because it's not quote unquote equal or on the same status level, that's a conflict. So there's a conflict over status, which again, we talked about earlier. Looking at the artwork of the Empress card, how she could be, to some people's eyes, viewed as poor. But I'm telling you, the Empress, in terms of tarot, in terms of high vibe, would never see themselves as poor, even if on a global scale, even if to the objective eye, even if we're talking about numbers on the books, she is poor compared to others. How she feels about herself is that she's not poor, okay? So it's all about mentality in that particular example. Outcome for August, Aquarius, the Hangman. Ain't going nowhere. More to the point, this is secondary major for Pisces, so that's 2 times for Pisces. If you want to apply it there, or in that way, I should say. You don't have to be dealing with the Pisces, but that's double for those who are. Not going anywhere in the sense of like the Hangman talks about a suspension, talks about things being on pause, talks about things being kind of held up or delayed, or just simply put into stasis. And what happens when we're in the Hanged Man is we are encouraged to open our mind, to be more receptive, and challenge our current perceptions, challenge our current understandings of the situation. This applies to both sides of the story. It's not just for the Empress, it's not just for the Emperor, it's for both. Ain't just for the DM, ain't just for the DF, okay? Both sides need a little bit of this humble pie, okay? And it's not about being humble. I'm just, trying to be a little facetious or funny in a little bit. But anyway, in a little bit of a way. This also shows to me for those where it's like a lack of communication, zero communication, or it's like that elephant is wrecking your house but you're not going to address it. That is going to continue for a little while. I don't see these two sides expressing what needs to be expressed, because the different, or the broader perspective hasn't been embraced yet. Like, you see this guy, not only is he suspended upside down, and unlike other depictions, he could probably get down from that fairly easily. All he has to do is like straighten his legs. But you'll notice that his arms are crossed in front of himself. And if you want to go into even more things, it's crossed. His arms are crossed in front of his heart chakra. Okay, so some people are like withholding their heart chakra; they're not opening up and being vulnerable. But more to the point, crossed arms, just in terms of psychological body language studies or whatever the hell you call it, that shows someone is unwilling to be open. Right? They're being guarded. Yeah. So there is a call to release that, to not be so guarded, to not be so held back, or to not be so standoffish. And the way that's going to happen, because this is major arcana, right? And when we see majors, you've got, for you, Aquarius, in all of the cards, you've got 5. That's a lot. So there's definitely a cosmic divine oversight here, meaning the universe is going to put the pressure on the situation, on the people involved, on the situation, all of it. The pressure and the uncomfortableness of it will be increased, or will be sustained. If not increased, sustained. It's not going to dissipate anytime soon, because until you or the other person, or both of you, like I said, both of you, sort of open yourselves up, speak about that elephant that's crushing your furniture, that's dropping big old dumps in the middle of your living room, until you talk about that, you're just going to be hanging upside down looking like a schmuck. Overall energy. Where? 5 of Cups. As the card says, disappointment. 5 of Cups is about loss. Crying over spilled milk, but it's more than that, because look at this artwork. This is like the drying out. Look at this. This is the drying out of a lake, or of a river, of a water source, right? So in some senses, you or the other person, or both of you to certain degrees, are losing, I want to say, the environment is changing. In some cases, the environment, or something that was viewed as sustenance, or right. Okay. Nail on the head for some of you, not all of you. Where do fish live? In water. There's no water on this card. There could be a literal loss of living situation, living space. Could be moving, evictions. Unfortunately, that's a reality for many people in the middle of this pandemic and economic turmoil that we're going through. And I'm not saying that to be cavalier, or rather, I don't mean my tone to be. It's just matter of fact. Some people are facing evictions. And in the middle of an eviction, I could understand how somebody might feel a little bit like, I don't really have much to stand on here. Okay? So it's a loss of material possessions or resources. But more to the point, since this is 5 of water, 5 of cups, this is about emotional loss. I feel as though someone is doesn't know what to do, doesn't know where to turn, doesn't know who to call, or who is a friend and who's foe. Like, in some cases, there may be an element or a level of betrayal here, And I think Aquarius, no matter which side of it you are on, it feels as though this is in tandem to me. Because fish are like in a school of fish. Like, for the most part, I think many fish like live communally, or they partner up and do whatever. So it's kind of like I said earlier, one side of this, the emperor, has kind of gone through a lot of what the other side is going through now. And that's that tethered tandem thing that can exist in certain types of soulmate relationships. Again, apply that label carefully to your life, study it, learn about it, possibly get readings about it. Doesn't even have to be from me. Get a reading, period, or get some bigger understanding. Not all, I'm not going to go into it again. Aquarius, that is your reading for August. If you liked it, like button is down below. If you want to leave a comment and let me know how this resonated in your life, that'd be super cool. Share the video if you choose, and subscribe, my friends, if you haven't subscribed already. That'd be super, super cool. Aquarius, I'll be back soon with the mid-August readings, as well as that live I'm going to do this weekend for Leo. If you want to join, feel free at 7 p.m. And also, guys, if you want that personal reading, you can look in the description box and see how to go about getting one, okay? All right, Aquarius, I thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Take care.